Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about fixing your timber floors. Unfortunately, not much can be done. Thank you. Goodbye. Right, anyway. Yeah, it's a big topic. I do get asked a lot about that. First of all, we need to identify what sort of timber flooring you have at home. It can be different types, like engineered board, like an oak, very soft, solid oak or solid hardwood, like black butt spotted gum, and obviously pre-finished hardwood as well. So that's the first thing what we need to identify. And also another thing important, is it direct stack or floating? Anyway, let's get into it. So let's break it down to two sections. First of all, engineered floorboards, and then we'll talk about a little bit about hardwood flooring, solid hardwood. So in terms of scratches and water damage, again, depends on the damage. So obviously, as you can see, we have two different finishes here. They're both engineered timber floors, but one is a matte brushed finish and one is matte smooth finish, so reflects a lot of light. So identical scratches will look different on those surfaces. So let's say it's a good tip, the more brushed finish, the less scratches you see. So if you have pets, small kids that kind of play with toys and so on, I would suggest going for brushed finish, so you see less scratches, like a tiny scratches. Because on a very smooth surface, you start seeing things a lot, even like footprints and marks and everything. But if it happens to be a scratch, so you have a couple options. Option one is to get a timber filler from well-known hardware store where lowest prices are just the beginning. So you can get that one and trying to fill it with the colored one. You can buy a professional flooring repair kit from us, so there's more color. That's option one. Option two is to get surface repair guys. They just Google surface repairs and they can fix your timber, they can fix your stone, they can fix your all the surfaces. And a third one, if nothing helps, because again, you can use a repair kit, but you still can see, it depends on how deep it is scratch and how long, and is it across the grain or along the grain. So unfortunately, we have to cut it out. So if you have your boards all together like this and you have a scratch on one board, we come in, we'll cut it out and put a new one in. But to put a new one in, we have to, obviously, because it's got locks all the way from four sides, we will have to cut one of the locking systems so we can actually put it back in. And that way, yeah, it will look like new again. You won't be able to tell that there was any repair done. So if the filling or surface repair guys can't fix it, depends on the scratch. Another, is it along the grain? Much easier to fix. If it's across the grain, a lot harder. And another good tip for you, if you're still watching it, when you vacuum your floors, always go along the grain. Just vacuum along the grain, forward and back, forward, never cross. Because if something gets stuck in a vacuum cleaner, you can scratch one board across, along the board, or you can scratch, if you're gonna vacuum it like this, you can scratch, same scratch, but 4 boards. So that's a good tip for you. So always vacuum with the grain. That's in terms of scratches. Let's go to water damage. Moving on to water damage boards. So again, you have couple water damages that You can see, you can feel. So just a normal water damage, like a fridge leaks, dishwasher leaks and all that. So out of these 4 boards here, I had this board under the water for 48 hours. So as you can see, the color difference. So first of all, what you'll notice it when you have a water damage is your grain will start to go very dark. So the more damage from water, the darker your floors. Same as if you have a external leak from the wall. So first of all, what you see, if your floorboards, if let's say, if that's your wall here, and you start seeing that last 2 rows or 3 rows starting to get darker, that means it's a water damage. You need to call us or call your insurance and get the assessor to come in and have a look what's going on here. Because if you have constant water damage, you kind of are not feeling it yet. Because we'll get to that second stage when you start feeling the water damage. So it can be prevented. We can, again, insurance can fix that up. We can replace 3 last rows and you'll be good to go. But if you leave it for too long, first of all, you start getting mold, which is not very healthy for you. And then another thing is that your floorboards, first of all, they go dark. But the second thing, they expand. So yes, you have expansion gaps all along the walls, but when that's not enough, so floorboards starting to go up. So this floorboard will start to cup. So that's when you start to feel that water damage. So first of all, it will go darker. It will be different to all the rest of the floor. And next step is cupping and delaminating of your actual veneer from the base of the board. That's when it's too late. Sometimes we have to replace the whole floor because the damage from that constant water pushed all your floor that much that there's not much can be done. We have to come in and replace it. That's why it's a good tip for you. If you start seeing black lines or anything along the walls, along the sliding doors, another good one, entry door. So if you start seeing those kind of dark grains, that means, oh, it's a first call for you. So it's always good to call insurance, say, oh, I don't know what's going on, but there's something is happening. Now we're gonna go to damage from the worst damage you can have is urine, is the pet urine. So nothing can be done with this one. Once you have your like dog peed on or cat peed on the surface, you see it straight away. It's a stain. Like it's like, let's say 60 90 minutes enough to penetrate through the coating and leave a stain mark. Another good tip for you, when you're buying a house or when you're renting it out, when you're moving into the house and you see kind of a round stains, dark stains across the house, that means it's pet urine that cannot be sanded off. Sometimes if you leave it for too long, it penetrates so deep that even the sanding and polishing doesn't help. You still will see that stain. So that's the good tip for you when you next time in a new house, just have a look around. Sometimes a cheeky seller will put a rug over it, you know, so it looks nice and clean. But when everything's done, you got the house, you got the keys, and then you walk in and you suddenly see like black marks in the corner there. Or another thing is like from the pot, when you have that pot sitting on the floor. And there's like, oh, what's that? I didn't see this. Yeah, it's unfortunately not much can be done. Again, replacement. but that's the for the engineered boards. Anyway, let's talk about solid scratches and water damage. All right, so solid floorboards can be solid oak, can be solid hardwood like spotted gum, black butts, and so on. So in terms of solid boards, you want, yes, they go a little bit darker, but because it's a solid board, it doesn't cup as much as engineered board. So you will start seeing, most likely first sign is you start seeing gaps between the boards. So where the boards starts to expand and shrink, pretty much reacting to the constant water, I don't know, aircon leaks, dishwasher. Usually in old houses, you very see a clear picture when you have kitchen is ruined with all the gaps between the boards. They even starting to cup, and they're very, very bad, but the rest of the house looks nice. That tells me straight away that in the kitchen they just wash their dishes with lots of water on the floor all the time. Yes, it's more hard wearing for the water, but yeah, over the years, it's when you have constantly water dripping on your hardwood floors, it damages, and that's where you start getting gaps. And we already spoke about the gaps in the previous video, so you can watch that. That's the damage in terms of water. Scratches, the big problem with the scratch in a solid floor, that this board cannot be replaced. So if you have a scratch on a solid board, yes, you can go and get the touch-up pen from hardware store. You can use timber filler, pretty much same procedure as in the engineered boards, but you don't have option to replace it. Well, you have option to replace it, but then you have to sand the whole lot. So fixing solid hardwood flooring is a lot harder than engineered, because again, if you don't like the fixing here, we can cut it out, put a new one in. If you don't like us fixing that board, or someone else fixing this board is still visible, then there's not much we can do. The only option is for you to move out, get all the furniture out, and for us to get all that sanded. Every 10-15 years, you just resand, you have brand new floors again. With this one, with the engineered boards, depends on the veneer, you can sand it only once or twice, or light sand. So that's not an option. It's better just to replace a few boards here and there and not to sand. Here, you can sand it as many times as you want, pretty much. That's the fixing timber floors. Again, if you have questions about your floors, email me your photos, email me your questions, leave a comments below, and we can do a series 2 in terms of how to fix, how to look after your floors, and yeah, we'll get that answered. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and I'll see you at the next one.